Hi, Badar. Good to have you here.
Hi, Abhay. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Good, good. You know the format of the podcast. Usually we start with where you're from, which city you're from, and what's your educational background, and how did you end up at RepStack?
Absolutely. First of all, I would like to tell you that I've been like an active viewer of your podcast. I've watched pretty much every single episode, and I'm glad that today, since we are like making history and going live and like in person for the first time, I'm glad I'm the first guest here. So that brings me down to your question. So I started off speaking about my education background. I started off. From Jaffer National University. I pursued my bachelor's in computer sciences, but since the get-go, I knew that that is not my forte. That is not something that I want to do. I cannot be somebody who can like be sitting in front of the computer out of the spotlight the entire day just to fix a single bug. I knew I wanted to do something more than that. I wanted to be somebody who can have an impact and influence on on the business and like be able to make a change. And marketing is something that always it always attracted me. Like engaging with people, collaborating with different entities, and like spreading the word. This was always something that I was fascinated about. So even when I was in university, every other event that we used to organize, I used to be the go-to person to make sure that I spread the word. So since that time, since that moment, it was probably in my second last year when I knew that, okay, this is something that I'll be pursuing as a career. And right then and there, I started looking for jobs here and there. I started off as a content writer, as a matter of fact. Wow. This is back in 2019 when COVID just hit and we were like in a state of lockdown. And I used to write a lot on social media, and I was like very opinionated on politics and all. My friends told me that you write anyways, why don't you actually monetize it and like make some money out of it? And then they actually introduced me to like these content writing gigs that were, and especially in the COVID days, content writing was a huge thing back then. So that's something that led me into this creative industry. I started getting a few gigs, started writing. Eventually I actually explored all the other areas of digital marketing as well. And the moment I saw like how all of these different areas they work together, and ultimately the goal is to actually grow a business, that fascinated me right then and there. And I started scratching and clawing and started getting any course, any material I could possibly find to upskill myself. So one gig led to the other, one job led to the other. Eventually I landed in RepStack, and here we are, fast forward.
Awesome. I think that's how everybody is, from one place to the other. But I really like that. We really, disconnect the computer sciences or electrical engineers from all this. But what you started with, I think, in RepStack was media buying. Media buying is quite, it's quite a numbers game. So I think you can resonate. A lot of computer sciences people or engineers can resonate to this part of digital marketing.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, I think it's not a luxury to have a computer science background, but it's a necessity, as a matter of fact, if you talk about media buying. Because I think I personally, based on what my experience in media buying, I think it's not just about going for a particular budget, targeting a particular segment with some ad copies. You have to create the landing pages as well. You need to understand what the structure is going to be like, what to communicate in which section, how the ad copy will be resonated with that. So if you have that computer science background, or at least like a fundamental programming / coding background, I think it will help you go to places in life as a media buyer. And that way you're actually able to see the complete picture, and you're able to connect the dots way better. So I think it's, even if somebody does not have a computer science background, I would still encourage them to actually pursue a few courses just to get some hands-on on how to create landing pages, what's the mentality behind it is, so that they can become a better media buyer as well. And automatically, at the end of the day, I may sound a bit technical right here, but when it comes down to media buying, it's all about how well the keywords you're targeting, the ad copies you're creating, and the landing page you're driving the traffic to are connected with one another. The better the connection is, the lower the cost is going to be, and the higher the likelihood is of people converting. And that can only happen when you have that technical background and you're able to connect the dots.
Exactly. So with that thing, I remember Azhar was on a call with, I think, 8 or 9 media buyers last week. And the number was astonishing, that among themselves, they were spending more than $100,000 every month. So that's a huge amount,
That's
for
a huge
any,
amount.
and that was like 7, 8 of them. I don't know how many media buyers we have. We have a lot of them. And the other number that was that there are at least 3 or 4 were engineers. And so that is something, that we just put it on the back and we don't consider it. So let's start again from RSA. How was your experience at RSA? Did you learn anything? And then from there, how did you proceed to the client? And what was your initial role with the client?
So I think it's a great question. If I just talk about my entire journey, everything that I've done before being part of RepStack or before being part of RSA, that first month or so that I spent in RSA, I consumed a lot of information about digital marketing. I read a lot about it. I took a lot of courses. I had a lot of information. But RSA helped me filter out what actually matters and what's just fluff, right? It was actually in RSA that I got to know that, okay, marketing automation is also a thing. Before that, I had no clue that there's a thing called marketing automation as well. You have like systems like High Level where you can like develop and like actually run an entire engine of marketing, which is like on autopilot. It is automatically working. You're optimizing it based on the numbers and like everything that goes into it. I had no clue about it. And it was actually in RSA that I learned this. Not only that I learned the skill, but I also realized how important this skill is in the international market. I think one of the biggest perks of being associated with RSA in any capacity, whether you join as an employee and then like spending a few months in RSA or like you straight away, I think you recently like launched that academy side of things as well, right? Or you like right away enroll yourself in the academy. I think one of the biggest perks of like associating yourself with RSA is the fact that they'll teach you and they'll skill you, they'll like develop skills in you which actually matter in the market, in the international market. So I think that is like the biggest perk, and this is something RSA actually helped me like set the tone for me and like actually put my effort in the right direction.
You're perfectly right there. That was the concept behind it as well. That there is the digital marketing world is huge. It's gigantic. So to focus on the US market and then to focus on the kind of clientele we have and the people we're interacting with, we narrowed it down to the things that we most need. So when a person like you goes to the client, he already knows 70% of what he has to do.
Exactly.
So that was the main purpose, and I love your words there, that how you interconnected everything, and GHL, for instance, it's something that the world is going crazy about. Every digital marketing is going crazy about, and with this, I would, if you've heard that we have just been certified, we have like 6 people certified on GHL right now, and so that's a huge win for RepStack, being on that level right now.
Absolutely. First of all, I hope I'm the 7th one who gets registered.
Inshallah.
Yeah. And if I just talk about GHL, I think personally speaking, it's a game changer in the marketing industry, especially for the small and medium-sized businesses. Like not every other business can afford like subscribing to Salesforce and then subscribing to HubSpot and then using both of them. High Level, it gets the best of Salesforce, it brings the best of HubSpot, it combines it together and it creates something magical for small and medium-sized businesses. 90% of what you do as a marketer can be done through High Level, and you can just automate it, and it will be like recurringly happening by itself. All you have to do is you make sure that you use your the marketing mindset to set the things the right way, and once you do that, it can do wonders for you. And I've seen businesses in fact, even if I talk about the agency that I'm currently working with, every other client that we are serving in that agency, they just get wowed as soon as they explore High Level and what it can do for their businesses, like managing the entire sales pipeline. Previously, like they had their own CRM systems where they could okay track how many sales they've made and all, but now they have pipelines in place. They know how many leads they got, which lead is at which stage of the entire sales pipeline, and then how many leads we can actually follow up with. What are some additional things we can do? We do not need different tools for that. We just have one platform there and it does it all for them. So
so last time I got a tutorial on High Level was like 2 years ago, and then last month I met Amar Zaman, and I asked him, Amar, if you can tell us a little bit about High Level. Things have completely changed, man. There's so much automation. There's so much that you can do now. We've converted our HR tool, Bamboo HR. We've almost converted everything from Bamboo to High Level. So you can, people are now making tools on it. So Muiz, our tech ops guy, he converted it into. So I mean, it's mesmerizing how high level is working.
Exactly.
I'll come back to your career and how you, because it's your podcast. So let's talk a little bit about you. So tell me, you started off as a media buyer, and then your journey from media buyer to an account manager. How was that? Was it like an accident, or you wanted to be there sometime? Because your socializing skills tell a little bit about your account management skills as well.
Thank you so much. I think, personally speaking, I think I was destined to end up there. And I'm somebody who has like a growth mindset, and I've always been somebody who wanted to go above and beyond in no matter what I do in life. And even when I came to marketing, it wasn't just another gig for me, especially when I joined RepStack or when I got into marketing. I didn't want to just have a marketing job. I wanted to make a career out of it. I wanted to be counted amongst people like Russell Brunson or like people like Frank Kern and all of that, all of those greats in the marketing industry. So I think when I joined Started Agency, by the way, Jesse Started is the guy who runs Started Agency. Amazing person. I actually consider him as my mentor. He's less of a client and more of a mentor for me. And every single day when I go to work, I'm not actually working. It feels like I'm getting paid to get enrolled in an education institution where you learn hands-on marketing. So this is what Jesse and Started Agency is to me. So coming back to your question, when I joined a Started Agency, I initially joined as a marketing associate when I was doing like pretty much any and everything I could potentially possibly do in that agency. And even Jesse initially, he tried me out in every other area. He used to give me tasks. I remember before joining Started Agency, I had no clue how to edit a podcast. People these days, they have that CapCut app on their app and they're editing videos. I've never done that either. But when I joined Started Agency, the very next day, he told me that I need to edit his entire 50 minutes long podcast on a tool called Descript that I never heard of before. I had no clue what it is in the first place. But luckily, since I owe a lot to it, a lot to my growth mindset, I was able to dig deeper and find some helpful material I could possibly found on the internet. And within 2 to 3 days, I was able to learn that skill. And that immediately made an impact on him. And then he started trusting me more with these different tasks. I never developed a single, back in the college days, I used to develop a few websites and all, but it's been years since I did that. He asked me to create some landing pages, and then I did that. And then he asked me to take over the ad side of things. And this was the very first time that I transitioned from being a marketing associate to being a media buyer. And before that, I had taken some courses on digital ads within RepStack in RSA, but I had no hands-on experience. But for some reason, he trusted me with that. And thankfully, I was actually able to deliver as well. So I was actually at that time managing, I guess, 25 plus accounts, media buying accounts at that moment, which includes both Facebook ads and Google ads. I made some mistakes initially, but I was able to overcome them right away, and I was able to actually start driving numbers for our clients. And then, with each passing day, with every other challenge that he was putting in front of me and me being able to overcome that challenge, it was developing that trust in him that, okay, we can trust him for greater things as well. And he actually had a conversation with my CSM, Rehab, and he told her already that how his vision was to eventually transition me to an account manager sooner or later. And then the idea was to transition me to a CSM eventually when we start expanding. And that's exactly where life took me. And somewhere down the road, the current CSM, the current account manager who was already working there, for some reason, she decided not to continue. And yeah, exactly. And me being somebody who always tries to seize the opportunity, I pitched the idea. He liked the idea. He gave me the chance. And fast forward 3-4 months later, I'm actually serving as an account manager now. So yeah, long story short, that's my journey from being an marketing associate to currently being an account manager.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the kind of clients you have, and then how do you, because it's very important. The one question I get from different agency owners is that, can they connect to my client culturally, or will they be able to connect to them? Because that's where they want, oh no, account manager, I'm gonna have somebody from onshore. So how's that? Do you connect with them? How do you connect with them?
I think this is a very important point that you've just raised. This definitely is a concern, in the marketing agencies. As a matter of fact, a lot of times this concern comes from their clients as well. They are not very comfortable opening about their business to offshore people, right then and there. And there's obviously this perception amongst them. But I was fortunate enough because when I took over the media buying side of thing, he actually started bringing me to his meetings with the clients. Previously, it was just him and his account manager from Colombia who were being part of those meetings, and he started introducing me, bringing me to those meetings. I was just sitting there observing what's going on, and then when the ads part used to come in that meeting where I have to actually report the clients on ad, while I was reporting, I used to give them different suggestions. You know what, we should try out this strategy. You know what, I feel like, considering what your brand is, how about we actually create an ebook that we can use as a lead magnet, and through that we can drive leads, and then we can convert them eventually. They used to like my ideas a lot, and they eventually felt like, okay, this person understands my business. He knows what I'm doing. He's not just the ads guy who's running ads for the sake of running ads. He understands what my business is, and then he's proposing me strategies accordingly. So they started trusting me, and Jesse liked that, and eventually started getting that feedback from the clients as well. And that was the point where he actually once told me, it was myself, the account manager back then, and Jesse. We were in a meeting. We used to have these internal meetings a lot. We were just talking about random stuff and how the day has been like. And he told me that how initially there was this concern among my clients that they weren't very confident. But now they feel like that these people are competent, and they understand our business, and now they're pretty open to the idea of opening up in front of them about their business and what their goals are. And I think I'm glad that I was amongst those people that they started trusting. And I think right now I have a very good relationship with all of their current clients. My personal strategy has always been, and this is also something that Jesse has taught me. He never gave me he did give me a formal job description of what account manager needs to do, but he told me that your job is, number one, to keep the client happy. Number two, to make sure that they pay us. And that is about it. I focus a lot on the happy part because if they're happy, they won't have issue paying us. So what I personally do is I don't just wait for the next weekly meeting for me to update them. If I see something significant happening right then and there, I would text them, drop an email. Guess what? This happened. We feel like we're on the right track. You know what? I was just thinking, I was just going through an account and feel like this is something that we can do to improve your business. They like these ideas. And as a result, I've been able to build that rapport with them, build trust with them. And yeah.
So one thing that we can take out of Badar's story is that you gotta be proactive. Exactly. I think a lot of people say today that, all right, I'm doing whatever my client is asking me to do, but you have to go a little bit more. You have to, you have to walk that extra mile. So great work, Badar, and we're so proud of people like you. And it's not only you, to be honest. It's we have a lot of stories, like somebody's heading sales in their agency, somebody's literally, there's one who's literally the CEO of the company.
Wow.
So we have tons of stories, but I'm glad that we heard this one from Badar, and kudos to him. I think apart from this, Badar, what do you else do in a day? How's your, how do you keep yourself motivated for the next day? What else are you into?
Okay, so I think that's a great question. By the way, I'm a very boring person. Typically, what I do in my leisure time is, number one, I read a lot. I like reading. I usually read history, so that tells how boring I am. Apart from that, I'm very much into self-help stuff as well, and I think that has actually helped me a lot in the growth professionally and personally as well. Apart from that, I consider myself to be a fitness freak. I remember there was a time where I used to be 125 kgs, and I was big.
Oh yeah.
And one fine day, and one of the reasons for me being very big was that I was super lazy. I don't know what could be the superlative form of this word, but I was that. And then even if the doorbell rang, it was it used to be quite a task for me to go and open the door. That's how lazy I was. And the moment I start making a little move, I started walking a little. Somebody in my family told me, okay, we've seen a slight change in you. And that was it. That was the moment where I decided, okay, if this small activity can make like such a change in me, how about I go a little aggressive on myself? A few steps walking turned into like walking for an hour. That turned into jogging. And then jogging turned into like jogging for 40 minutes straight without stopping. We have this ground there. It's called Race Course in Rawalpindi. So I used to be like an active. I used to actively run there every single day until the COVID hit. And when the COVID hit, everything was shut down. And since this habit of working out was ingrained in me to such an extent that I needed something as an alternative right then and there. And I'm not somebody who's like into gym and like working indoors. I like to work outdoors and like being close to nature, because I feel like it's very fulfilling both physically and spiritually and mentally as well. So I wanted something like that. But as an alternative, this is where I did some research and I got introduced to the idea of jump rope. That changed the game for me, to be very honest with you. I think what you can accomplish in 40 minutes as jogging, you can do way more than that in like 10 to 15 minutes if you're jumping rope the right way. I think right now it's safe to say I can like do pretty much every other variation that you can think of in jump rope. Yeah, I do that. I have some weights in my home that I like use for strength training. So the two things that I make sure are part of my day are, number one, reading for 30 minutes, and number two, working out for 30 minutes. And that has helped me a lot. My energy levels are always high. Mentally, like I feel very fit, very healthy. And I think this is also one of the reasons why I can actually come up with new ideas. It's not because like I'm the best marketer out there, like I know everything. It's just that my mind is in a state where it is actually like it's easier for me to brainstorm and think about stuff. Maybe it's because of my physical health and my mental health, because of the stuff that I consume. And yeah, I don't consider myself to be like that amongst the Netflix generation and like consuming a lot of movies and all. I do that, but I don't do that very aggressively. Maybe I'm a bit old school, but yeah, that's me. That's what I do in like my leisure time.
Yeah, I think that is, working out is kind of meditation. You
Absolutely.
get a lot of good ideas. I get a lot of good ideas while I'm running. So definitely. One last thing we'll go. What would you suggest somebody who is just starting his career in digital marketing or who's just hired in RepStack Success Academy?
I think that's a great question. If we just talk about somebody who's getting into digital marketing, my suggestion would be digital marketing. As you just mentioned earlier in this interview, it's a very vast field. There's so much that you can explore. Even if you just consider one area, let's say for the sake of example, if you just talk about digital ads, you have Google ads, you have Facebook ads, you have LinkedIn ads, every other platform varies slightly. My suggestion for you would be pick one platform, go deep, and then go wide, and then like develop your specialized expertise in one area and then expand. If I talk about RSA, I personally suggest if you want to make a career in digital marketing or in marketing in general, my personal suggestion would be right away, like get yourself enrolled in that RSA Academy.
RLA, that's RepStack Learning Academy.
RepStack Learning Academy, exactly. Because one of the benefits of that is you potentially, if you just like start off on your own, you will get a lot of information on YouTube. You'll be able to consume a lot of courses, but you won't really be able to distinguish between what actually is needed in the market, in the market, and what's not. In RLA, they will specifically train you on things that are needed in the market. Plus, if you're doing really well, chances are you might get a match with the client right away.
I think 70 to 80% people are getting hired. So that's a great number for that. And I think I remember one thing from Josh Nelson as well, and our mentor. He says that riches are in the niches. Mm-hmm. So you got to get a niche inside digital marketing and then expand in that. So I think, Badar, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'm glad that it was you on this first edition of live podcast, and had a great time.
Thank you so much.
Keep doing the great work and making us proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your kind words. Thank you so much, guys.